What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some MMA DFS picks for DraftKings, UFC Vegas 58, Rafael Fiziev, Rafael Dos Anjos. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy with Jake the Snake of MMADFS.com. We're here to give you tips, strategies, FanDuel, DraftKings, lineup construction tips, best bets, everything you need to break down the Vegas 58 card on Saturday, July 9th. And Jake, what's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Long week. Excited to watch this slate tomorrow.
Yes, me as well. A couple interesting fights here. What we normally do, if you haven't seen these videos, we break down the main event, what it means for betting and DFS purposes. We talk about, it's been a couple of weeks now, but we do actually have a newcomer on the card, and we'll discuss his prospects. We'll play good fighter, good opponent, bad opponent for those fighters who don't have that many fights in the UFC. A couple prize picks plays. You see the prize picks promo code here on screen. A fight to target in DFS, and a couple of the best bets to throw together for a stream parlay. So make sure you stick around to the very end. So Jake, let's start with this 12 fight card at the main event. Week after pay-per-view, we have Dos Anjos, we have Fiziev. Lots of different ways this one can go, and a very wide range for the scoring. So talk to me about what it means for DFS.
Yeah, so if you look at RDA lately, he's been going off. I mean, he's been in some favorable positions. Obviously, he fought Paul Felder on like a week's notice. He fought Moicano on like less than a week's notice. Absolutely smashed in those spots. So obviously, his recent record is going to drive up his ownership, and that's why we actually have his projected ownership higher than Fiziev, which that's always pretty rare when you see the underdog owned above the main event favorite. But I think that will be the case. He scored 155, 135 before that, just absolutely killing it. He's only 7,200. People are going to want to start the slate with, these negative 800 favorites like Onama, jam in some of the other popular plays. Gets really easy if you start with RDA. So I think he's going to be a popular guy with a huge ceiling, but he is going against the 95% takedown defense of the younger, much younger guy in Fiziev. Fiziev's 29 years old, 12 pro fights. RDA's 37 with 44 pro fights. I mean, this is definitely like two different generations, and we're going to see if we have the changing of the guard or not. But it's a pretty interesting matchup because we've got pretty much a pure striker in the Muay Thai striker in Fiziev going against a fourth degree black belt in RDA. So if the fight stays standing, big advantage for Fiziev. The fight hits the mat, big advantage for RDA. That automatically creates a super wide range of outcomes for both the fight and for scoring from a DFS perspective.
Absolutely. So quick hitting questions for you. RDA, if he wins, he's in the optimal lineup pretty much every single time, right?
Yeah, man, it's hard to see. Like, even if he has like a bad result, like an early round three finish or something at 7,200. I mean, how does he not get in there? I mean, it's gonna be really. It would take something really, really bizarre, like Carla Esparza bizarre for him not to be in there.
Yeah, I do think a mistimed finish could be the potential culprit there. Fiziev, does he get there on volume alone in a decision? Can he?
I mean, it's tricky because he's probably gonna be facing a lot of grappling. I mean, he's gonna be facing grappling, but he's probably gonna be taken down at times. That's gonna lower his striking ceiling. RDA is constantly going to be looking to make this a grappling match, so it's not going to be one of those super high volume back and forth main events. At least not what we're expecting.
Yeah,
But you never know. I mean, 5 rounds. I don't know. I would say less likely to get there without a well timed knockout.
I think that's fair. And then low risk contest. We stacking this one just because of RDA's price on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think you still got to stack it. Based on the pricing discrepancy and the fact that it's 5 rounds, and I mean, there's always a chance it's higher volume than expected.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's move on and let's talk about the newcomer on the card who was a late replacement as well. Got added to the card this week. We didn't think Onama was going to fight after his opponent dropped out. Thought we were going to be stuck with 11 fights, but thanks to his opponent he faced in an amateur fight. Let's find him here if I can find him on the screen. It's Garrett Armfield here making his debut. And what have you seen on tape from Armfield? And talk to me about historically what these spots mean for guys who are moving up a weight class on short notice.
Yeah, so Armfield's coming in, still a young guy, 25 years old, 8-2. 7 of his 8 wins have come early, six in the first round, another in round two. So pretty strong finisher. He has a decision loss to Ronnie Lawrence, so he's faced some good competition. Wrestled in college, so he has a grappling background, but typically, he's using his striking in a lot of his fights. We did see him, I think it was like his second most recent fight, just kind of like smother a dude for 15 minutes and win a decision. But a lot of his other fights, he's relying mostly on his striking. I would say he's a pretty good striker. The main thing is he's a 135-pound fighter. He's fought his entire pro career at 135. He did fight Onama as an amateur at 145 pounds. I think that was in like 2018. Lost a decision, and then immediately turned pro and fought his entire pro career. 10 fights so far at 135 pounds, making his short notice debut on what, like Tuesday nights, like 4 days notice or something. I mean, this never works out, right? Like never. I mean, it's one of those spots where we want to look at him in his second fight when he moves back down to 135 pounds, when he gets absolutely mollywopped in this fight and everyone thinks he's terrible. I mean, that's when we want to play him, not when he took this fight on 4 days notice against a guy that, Onama took his short notice UFC debut at 155 before dropping back down to 145. So he's fought at, all the way 2 weight classes ahead. And Garrett Armfield, lifelong 135 pounder. So really, really tough spot. He is coming off like a 33-second round one KO win. So the guy is fairly explosive, but you can't ask for a tougher spot than this.
Absolutely not. And I agree. Definitely a guy we want to look at in his second fight. And to me, Jake, he reminds me a little bit of who was the guy that Preston Parsons beat recently that made a short notice debut up a weight class?
Oh yeah, like what was that guy's name? Like Evan something. Yeah, that guy was good too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I really do feel like we had the same kind of scouting report on that guy. Like, hey, yeah, this guy's good. He's going to put up a good fight. Maybe takes it to a decision, and we're going to be interested in the second fight. Can't remember that guy's last name. I'll have to look it up after the show.
I literally can't remember it to save my life. But Armfield in the same, he could make this surprisingly competitive. Given I was a little surprised at the line, honestly. But again, these spots are typically tough for these guys, and just keep the name in the back of your mind. And when you see him in his second fight and he has 14 DraftKings points to his name, just refer back to this video that he's a guy we want to target in his second fight. All right, let's play good fighter, bad fighter. Bad matchup, good matchup for fighters who have 3 or less fights in the UFC. Let me clear the lineup screen here. Sort by salary. Let's start with David Onama, his opponent.
Yeah, I mean, Onama looks like a good fighter, and I would say it's a good matchup based on the short notice and up a weight class.
For sure. And then we have Boralho.
Yeah, I would say good fighter, and it's a good matchup for a grappling heavy approach.
For sure. And his opponent, Petrosian.
Yeah, I would say one-dimensional striker. So I always have a hard time calling those guys good fighters. He's good at what he does, but it's a bad matchup.
Yeah, agree there. Let's keep scrolling here. About Ricky Tercios.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, but that's another bad matchup. A low volume counter striker is who he's going against. So it's not a great matchup for him, but not the worst matchup in terms of like winning, but just a lower matchup for DFS scoring.
Absolutely. Okay, let's keep scrolling here. Ronnie Lawrence.
Yeah, so I think he's a good fighter. I think that's a bad matchup though.
Let's talk about his opponent then, Kakramanov.
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter, and man, that's a tough matchup for both guys. You can't call it a good matchup going against Ronnie Lawrence because he's gonna face like 35 takedown attempts. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised this fight is leading off the card. But we're gonna get it started with a bang, and that's the fight I'm most interested in seeing for sure. Cody
yeah,
Brundage
he's a bad fighter in a bad matchup.
and his opponent Terrence Gore.
I
Trayshawn
think
Gore. Sorry,
he,
Terrence Gore is a MLB
yeah,
player. Sorry, Trayshawn Gore.
I think he's a decent but super rough fighter, and I think it's a good matchup, good-ish, except for the fact he's gonna face like 35 takedown attempts.
Also very true. All right, that'll do it for good fighter, bad fighter. If you want takes for all the fighters on the card, make sure you check out MMADFS.com, where Jake writes up every single fight from a betting and DFS perspective. If you want to boil down into top plays and lineup construction tips, read the daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com. All those links are in the description below. All right, Jake, prize picks. Remember, people out there watching can get a 100% deposit match bonus if you haven't already, using code Occupy at prize picks. Parlay some soft UFC prop lines together. Jake, any standout to you from a high level?
Yeah, I like Onama over 44.5 significant strikes. I think that Armfield has looked durable enough to hang in there. I think Onama is going to land a bunch of volume. I think he could potentially hit that in like one round. And I mean, it's a little risky because he could get an early finish, but I still like it. I think that as long as the fight makes it past like the midway mark, which I actually think it will, I think he hits that easily.
I do as well, so stick around right now for our stream parlay. Actually, you know what? Before we do the stream parlay, fight the target. We haven't talked about it yet. What's a fight, Jake, that you think, no matter who wins, has a really good chance of ending up in the optimal lineup outside of the main event?
I think it's actually that first fight that we talked about with Lawrence and Kakramanov, because I think either Lawrence is, going to score another massive, 130 point score where he just cruises through on takedowns, or I think he's going to get finished. And, if we get an underdog with a finish, it's really good chance that he ends up in the winning lineup with Kakramanov.
We'll know very quickly how this slate is going to go. Once 6 p.m. Eastern hits, by about 6:30, you'll know how your lineups are faring. So, all right, Jake. So, hinted at the stream parlay. I do like Onama, that fight to go the distance. And you have a minus 800 favorite. You get him a plus 200 or so to win the decision. And surprisingly, guys who take these short notice fights somehow do go the distance more than you think they would. I don't know if it's self-preservation, just trying to get through it and get to their second fight. But yeah, I'll take Onama by decision plus 200 for my side of the stream parlay.
Yeah, no, I like it. I don't know what it is either. Maybe it's like the adrenaline kicking in for these new guys. Maybe the vets are just, focused on winning an easy decision and not less focused on getting the finish, but definitely a trend we've noticed. So I like that. And speaking of the fight we're targeting, I'm going to go Kakramanov inside the distance at plus 275. You look at his money line, it's actually come down some places all the way to like plus 105. I mean, I think that's a little bit too wide of a gap. I think his path to victory is getting a finish at plus 275, like that. And I think that Lawrence has kind of a suspect chin.
I think that's fair. We saw it in his last fight too. So we got plus 275, we got plus 200. That'll pay us what if we win? When we win?
Right, there you go. Plus 1025, so just over 10 to 1.
Perfect. We will certainly take that. For more best bets and top props and money lines and totals on the slate, again, check out MMADFS.com. Jake's premium content gives you all the bets early in the week. And for bets that are still out there, you can read the daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com. All Jake's top bets are in there, in addition to his top DFS plays, in addition to lineup construction tips, in addition to prize picks plays, in addition to contests that you need to target in DFS. It's really a roadmap on how to beat every single Saturday UFC slate. So go check it out, OccupyFantasy.com. Occupy model up and running, ranks every fighter, FanDuel, and DraftKings. I say this every week, but more and more people in the industry are starting to sign up just to see what the secret sauce is all about. So make sure you're not missing that as well. And then the lineup builder, which allows you to build up to 300 lineups using our optimal lineup criteria, is also loaded, ready to go for UFC Vegas 58. If you like what you saw here and you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, get notified when we go live, upload any new videos. Give us that thumbs up if you appreciate the content. And of course, give us a follow. Jake's at DFS_MMA. I'm at Brian Jester FF. And we're always breaking down and sweating the fights in our Discord server. OccupyFantasy.com/Discord is where you can join us. So for Jake, I'm Brian. Appreciate everyone listening and good luck at UFC Vegas 58.